Welcome to Believe in People Unplugged, created in collaboration with and in support of the Matthew Perry House. Hosted by Amy Goldberg and Caitlin Morrison, this is a space for real conversations with musicians and artists, exploring who they are beyond the work, what fuels their creativity, and why music plays such an important role in their well-being.
Welcome to Believe in People Unplugged in collaboration with the Matthew Perry House, hosted by me, Amy Goldberg, and Caitlin Morrison. Today's guest is Royal Wood. Royal is a Canadian singer-songwriter known for his warm vocals, emotionally honest songwriting, and music that feels like a deep breath. It does. A JUNO Award nominated artist, Royal has built a career around songs that explore love, loss, resilience, and the quiet moments that shape who we are. His work blends folk, pop, and soul, creating music that doesn't just entertain, it connects. Royal's songs often land where healing lives, in truth, vulnerability, and hope. Welcome to Believe in People Unplugged, yay!
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Caitlin.
And our first guest, Caitlin.
I know. It's very exciting. No pressure to you at all.
No pressure. I have nothing to live up to if I'm the first guest. So we'll start the benchmark here, and then you can just go up.
That's a good point. Royal, do you remember the first song you wrote that felt like, okay, this is who I am as an artist?
Oh wow, yeah.
Have that moment?
I truly do. Yeah. I mean, growing up, I was in lots of cover bands and did all that thing. I would privately write my own songs, but not really share them. And then I moved to Montreal. I was going to McGill, and I started writing like really for myself and playing in coffee houses. And I still was like, none of these songs feel like me. And I recorded this little EP, and I was like, it doesn't feel like me yet. And then I was home for a winter break. I was back at the farm, and I sat at the piano, and without thinking, I wrote the song called Off My Sleeve. And I just had this grand like aha moment of not trying to be another artist and not trying to sound like someone else. This thing just kind of came through me. And from that point on, I've written songs that way, and I finally felt like myself.
Huh.
Yeah, it took a long time to shed the trying to be somebody else that you listen to. It took me a very long time, but now proudly, I think I do my thing. For better, for worse, I do my thing.
For better, for sure.
Thanks, David.
What did you use? Like, what did you use to cover, though? I'm curious.
Oh God, all the great like 60s, 70s songwriters, and plus as a Canadian kid, we'd cover the hip and we'd cover the rodeo and like whatever all your friends were listening to at the time. But I did a lot of like classic rock. Because I mean, it's funny. I should have been playing 80s and 90s music at the time, but I was raised with three older brothers who loved 70s music because they were all kids of the 70s. And as well, my uncle died when I was a kid. He got hit by a drunk driver, and his whole record collection went to my dad, and my father immediately was like, I want to give this to my sons. And that became our musical education. So instead of listening to the stuff all our friends had, we were listening to the old vinyl records and this old reel-to-reel player. So my first real memories of music, taking in to learn how to play instruments, was all from the 60s and 70s. And it really influenced like my heart, like now to this day, I still write music in the same manner of music from the 70s. That's like a true like singer or songwriter.
And actually to that point, Royal, how do you find your voice? Like when you're so influenced with so many songs in your head and artists, like how does it come out?
I think something just resonates in your soul. Something just, like when you're having a conversation with someone and you feel like it's just genuine. You're having this genuine conversation that there's no artifice. You're not trying to convince them of something. You're not trying to prove something. There's just this like flow to it. That's how I feel like it was finding your voice. Huh. You just suddenly have this dialogue with your own heart. That's not like, I must do this thing that I think I must do. You just have this flow of conversation with yourself, and these things come out, and it's a really magical thing. If I knew, it's like the words of Leonard Cohen. He said, if I knew where the great songs came from, I'd go there more often. I can't always get there. It's like sometimes your head's really, really blocked, but you just got to keep showing up.
Do you remember what you were thinking about before the first time it happened?
That's a good question.
You know what? That's a very good question. I remember I sat down at this grand piano that we had in this little open area in the house. And I hadn't played it in forever because I'd been away at school. And at school, I just had this crappy little keyboard and I had my guitars and stuff. And I just sat down at the grand piano, which is the piano I learned on. I started piano when I was 4. And it just felt not just like home because I was home, but it was winter and it was snowing. And I was looking out at the farming, like the fields at the farm. And I was at my childhood piano. And so the kid who had no artifice, who just was a kid full of wonder, was just like, like it's just such freedom at my fingertips to do this thing that was me, you know? And I just, the words tumbled out like this poetic imagery that I felt almost taken aback, like I was just kind of witnessing it happen. And it was just a really special feeling. And I continually search that feeling now. I still do. Yeah.
And what did you study in school? Like, was this something you said, okay, this is what I want to do?
Well, I started by ear first when I was like 4 or 5 on the piano and started learning other instruments. I was really fortunate. I had parents who loved music, and my father made sure there were instruments in the house because he really wanted someone to play music. And there's 5 of us in our family, 5 kids. So there was like a guitar, and there's a banjo and a violin, a clarinet, and some other stuff in the house. And I learned them all. But when I was around 10, my parents put me in actual like conservatory piano lessons because they thought you should be able to read and write this, not just play it from ear, thankfully. And so I studied piano. And then in high school, well, actually junior high school, the senior music band teacher got wind of me and what I could do. And he asked me to join the senior band when I was just a junior. And so I got to play any instrument I wanted, and I got to bring all the instruments home. And he was amazing. His name was Mr. Roy. And I got to go on the big band trips, and I got to date older girls. And it was just a good time to be a young high school kid.
Oh, that's the reason. Okay, got it.
Like playing music and all. I was like, literally was. I remember her. This girl, Katie, and Mr. Roy said, "We're going to take this trip to Chicago," and I was like, "Yes, I will join your band and I will go to Chicago." And that was it. So that was my study of music. But I actually had a scholarship to McGill University, and I did not want to go. I wanted to just go and play music. And my parents convinced me to do 2 years, and I could take anything I wanted. So though the scholarship was for business, I just took electives. I took philosophy and art of listening and history and kind of whatever I wanted. And then I did my 2 years, and then I moved to Toronto and started my career. And that was that. Yeah. So certainly not, I was not the great, music was not the thing I really studied in terms of like learning my theory. I know how to write and arrange, like I can arrange and stuff for orchestra, but I don't read incredibly quickly. I can just notate it faster than I can read it. But
what's your favorite part of music? Creating music?
My favorite part of music is the recording process. Being in the studio and arranging, producing is my happiest of all places. I love performing live. I love what you can give and get from an audience. Sometimes writing I find so frustrating. And you just have to write so much to finally find something wonderful that it doesn't always appeal to me as much. Sometimes I'm almost nervous, like, oh God, I have to write another record. But when the songs are written and I feel like they're great, and I finally just get to sit in a studio, I love it so much. I love the studio. I don't sleep when I'm in the studio mode. I just constant ideas and things to try and things I want to do, things that aren't right, like problems that you have to solve, you know?
Huh.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Do you have a little home studio?
Yeah, I have a very big studio here. It's my last record, Dear John, I recorded that entire record myself for my studio. But like I did lots of overdubs with strings and guest vocalists and horns and stuff. But it was me playing like all the instruments and engineering and recording. And it was something I've always produced and been a part of it, obviously. But you kind of let the reins go with others as you get into your career. And people say, work with this producer or work with this engineer. But then the pandemic hit, and I was halfway through a record I was working on in LA in the UK. was kind of splitting my time between the two, and suddenly I had to be home and I had to finish a record. And so I started recording it myself. And I loved it so much that the next record I decided I was going to do all myself. I don't know if I'll do that again next time. I'll probably end up wanting to change again and try something new, but I love being left alone. I grew up in a very busy household, like I said, 5 kids, and there's always just so much going on. And I love nothing more than to be in my room alone with an instrument and just kind of doing my thing.
Well, you know what? I was just going to ask you about that because being a musician is so mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, it's really challenging because you're everything and you want people to hear you. Like, please hear me. So how do you stay sort of like okay with that, with what you're doing, Because I see the roller coaster, and I feel it. It's so
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a long. Do you have 6 hours and a couple bottles of wine for that answer? The arts is a very rewarding road to take in terms of a career. Like, I would recommend it to anyone, but I would also say that with caution, because you are perpetually judged. That your entire existence is based on judgment, and your entire existence is based on your latest success. And unless that is at a certain benchmark, you are considered not worthy or forgotten amongst, the industry or even your peers or people that you meet. Like, if you're in an Uber and they ask you what you do, the first question is, well, have I heard you? Have you won a Grammy? And it's like, don't know if all of those really equate whether or not I'm good at my craft, but so that part of it is it takes a lot. It takes a toll on people, I think. But I was lucky to be raised in a household that taught me that none of that stuff mattered. Like, I didn't set out to try to be nominated for Songwriter of the Year at the JUNOs. I just tried to make a great record. I didn't set out to be nominated for Album of the Year. I just tried to make a great record. And the years I've been nominated, amazing. And the years I haven't thought about it. Like, the only thing that ever irks me is when I know I didn't make a great song, or if I look back and I'm not proud of what I made. But as long as
how do you judge a great song, Royal? How do you judge it?
If I am moved by it,
okay.
If it moves me, if it does the thing that I wanted it to do, because there are times when I've written a song that I absolutely loved and somehow just didn't uncover how to present it. Whether it was the tempo, the key, one word was off, a turn of phrase, something just didn't get at the heart of what I felt when I wrote it. Those are the kicker moments, And at the same time, there's been moments on stage where you're playing to thousands of people and you just know it wasn't your best show. Like, you're in your head, or you let something that happened on stage take you out of it, or whatever it is. Like, those are the things that irk me. It's not did that song hit number 1 or did the Grammys come knocking like that? Nah, that's a waste. That's just a waste. Because everyone I know within the industry that has Grammys on their shelf, they're just covered in dust, and they're the same person before they got the award. Like, it didn't change them. And if you're not enough without those things, I promise you'll never be enough with them. So yeah. I've really tried to focus on trying to make myself enough as is, which allows me to hear a lot of rejection. I think my wife was most surprised by that when we got together 10 years ago. She just didn't realize just like how much your agent and label and your team is always pushing, trying to get these things. And the majority of the time, the emails and phone calls you get are, yeah, we didn't get it. That's just the nature of this business, always and forever. Yeah.
What I wonder about is, I think the pressure is probably the same in arts, like no matter sort of where you are, particularly what you're doing, but there's so much, I think, for you, like when I listen to your music, I get a lot of, I think because you're a lyricist, or you feel to me like lyricist before anything else.
Thank you for saying that.
You got it. But there's so much heart that goes into it, and sort of you can tell that you're pulling expressions and feelings out of yourself. Does it feel more personal if it doesn't land with people? Like, does it feel almost like a personal?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because in the beginning when I started, maybe it's because how I was raised. My parents were so loving and encouraging and supportive, and like whether we stumbled or whether we sprinted, we got the same look and the same hug. You know, it was the same amount of love no matter what. It just was at our house. So I felt invincible as a kid. Like when I started, I thought for sure whatever I touched, it was no doubt that I was going to be the next Paul McCartney. You know what I mean? Like it was no doubt that what I was going to do was going to change something. Like I was just like, oh my God, like I just thought that I was just a very talented kid. Because I had been told that, you know, my whole young life I've been told that by strangers, by my family members, by whatever. It's just like, oh, this little wonder kid can do all these things. And so when you start out and you do your first things and you start getting your first press and you feel like you're in the current of it, and it's like all going where you think it's going to go. You feel amazing, but then, you know, none of it's happening as fast as you thought it was going to. And it's not going exactly where you thought it was going to go to. And you very quickly, I can see the little window of time looking back in my career where I kind of got rattled, whereas like, maybe I'm not as great as I thought I was. And, you know, maybe what I have to say, people don't actually care about, you know? And I see myself at that time in my career, I really stopped feeling the current of me. And I started trying to make a hit. I started trying to make a song that I thought everyone would love and everyone, you know, that would be incredibly successful. I jumped through every hoop possible for a record or two. And looking back, even though it did well, those were that's the saddest time in my entire life. Chasing something, trying to be something that wasn't me. And now more than ever, I'm deeply honest and deeply genuine. And this last record, Dear John, is everything that little kid that started in music would want to hear. Like I made it for that kid. And I'm so proud of it. I don't care if you listen to it. I don't care if you like it. I can say that without a doubt. I love it. And that's enough for me. Because those times when I look back and a record did incredibly well for me and I hated the record, oh, I feel sad. I feel really sad about it. So,
and what was it about it that you hated? Like, what was it? Was it force? Like, did
yeah,
you
it was
write
forced.
things?
It was forced, and I pulled punches, and I said things I didn't mean, and I did production that was just contemporary at the time, and I worked with people who dumbed it down, and yeah. All the things you hear it from every artist across any industry. You know, it's when the actor that considers himself the great actor does the Marvel movie, and then later on there's like, oh God, why did I do that? Like, why did I do that thing? You know, it's, and I'm not saying that art has to be esoteric and not successful for it to be meaningful. That's not true at all. I think, you know, The Wizard of Oz, like it's accessible to everybody, and it's one of the great masterpieces of film. There's nothing wrong with something being incredibly successful and easy to digest. It can still be great.
And hey, Royal, do you think that when you're writing a song, one of your songs, do you believe maybe that some songs either maybe come from pain or through pain or after pain?
I mean, everyone on this earth carries pain and shame and rejection and hurt. But the duality is that attached to all of those things is the equal, if not tenfold, power of the positive. And so I don't think I've ever written a song that it was all one or the other. In fact, I generally find those songs pretty boring to me. Like when I read a song that has deep hurt in it, there's always there's a light somewhere. And when I write a deep love song about how meaningful someone is to me, or how much I want them, or need them, there's still a melancholy and a chance of like losing them, because that's real to me. When I look at my son and either one of them, and they're sleeping, I'm filled with every emotion possible. I'm full with like such happiness and joy, and like it's unbelievable. And then you just equally
when they're sleeping.
Yeah, when they're sleeping, yes. But I'm just saying, like last night, my son George, I usually, after he's fallen asleep and stuff, I'll read to him and he falls asleep. And there's a nightlight that he insists on having on, but I unplug it. I'll go into his room after he's sleeping and I unplug the thing, just so he gets a better sleep. And last night I just kind of stood over the bed for like 10 seconds and I was like, I just love this kid so much. And then I definitely was hit with like, you better always be okay. Like,
right.
Like, oh, the panic that hits you as a parent at all times, this duality that you carry. And I think the pain that we have as you express it as an artist, it's important to tap into all of it. Otherwise it's one-dimensional, and it's one-dimensional. And it's not honest. It's not real. It's complicated. Emotions are life's complicated. Mm-hmm. Anyone who doesn't say that every aspect of life is complicated is selling something somewhere. They're making a dollar somewhere.
You can wait, Caitlin?
I was going to say, I can see some of that McGill philosophy coming through.
Yeah.
That's fun. Royal, do your kids play instruments? Like, have you influenced them to get into that?
Well, I made sure, just like my father did, there's instruments in the house. So there's a piano they can just kick the shit out of, and there's a guitar that I don't care about, and they plunk away at it and they do their thing. Neither one have shown the interest that I had as a kid, where they're trying to figure it out themselves. But they love music, and music is always on. And George, our youngest in particular, is just fascinated by music, and he has his favorite songs that they're saved on his little tablet, and he would rather listen to music than say watch Baby Einstein. Like he would rather be able to listen to. He just, listening is his thing, not watching. So he might go that route. I don't know.
What music does he listen to, apart from yours, of course?
Well, yeah, it's funny. The Spotify account in our house is my wife's Spotify that's on their little tablet for like traveling and stuff. And so my wife's number one, her top two artists were Royal Wood and T-Rex. and that wasn't because of my wife. He loves listening to Daddy, and he loves Bang a Gong by T-Rex. So he also loves a lot of CCR and stuff, but he's definitely in his classic rock phase right now, which is I love, because he did it all by himself. I didn't make him. He just, the algorithm had fed it over because there's some stuff that Allie and I would listen to, and he's just grabbed onto it. He thinks Have You Seen the Rain is like the greatest song ever. He just kind of gets lost in it, and he sings along. It's really sweet.
And now it's going to be stuck in my head for the rest of the
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one. My kids was when he was little. He's 13 now, but his first favorite band was Queen, and I was like, that's a win. That's a win. This day and age.
No kidding.
I read an interesting article the other day talking about AI and AI music and these cover things that are now popping up everywhere, so that companies don't have to pay royalties in public spaces, that all of our kids are going to grow up thinking Queen and the Beatles and all these other bands sound a certain way. It's not going to be them they're listening to. it's covers, AI covers, which is just horrible to me. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, it's really something. I mean, there's been lots of conversations around that. Hey, Royal, when somebody is really, especially in the music industry, when you're an artist and you have yourself to rely on, even if you have a team, what kind of advice would you give or suggest to people that are really struggling, like when they hit the lows because of the rejection? Like, how do people sort of move forward?
Oh, well, I mean, at any level, the rejection continues. If not more, the more successful you get, probably the more rejection you have because you have a larger team trying for more things. But you just keep showing up. As an artist, you just have to keep showing up because the person that you're ultimately doing this for is yourself. Art is a very narcissistic career path. In one way, it's all about you and your expression and your art and what you are trying to do. It's also a collective. It's an incredible path to choose because you do get to work with people. If you're in music, you play with groups, and if you're an actor, you have an ensemble you're with, and so it's with our choices. Actually, it is actually a little more collective. But if you're a painter or a writer, like a novelist, like it's so solitary. So I would say, if anything, if you want to be in the arts and get through those lows, I would say work on yourself first and foremost. Seek therapy, read positive material, find the good, realize there's always fortune and misfortune, and any sort of rejection, let it go. I think it's Maya Angelou that said it. She said, I'll paraphrase, but she said, like, if you attach yourself to the positive reviews you get, then you equally have to attach yourselves to the negative ones. So it's best if you just don't think about any of it, because you can't say one's valid and then the other is not. And I've never forgot about that. So, just you do it for yourself. You put in the work, you put in the effort. And no matter what, you have to treat a career in the arts like that. It's a career, it's a job. And there's no one on this earth that loves their job all the time. And most of the time, they don't love it at all. And there's an enormous task list for me on a daily basis of things that I do not want to do. But you do. It's your job, So treat it like
social media. Oh, that's the worst. Honestly,
that's literally what I was working on until I hit the connect button on our Zoom call.
I know. I know. Yeah. Well, you know what, Royal, thank you so much. I want to ask you, what do you think Matthew Perry's favorite song would be out of your collection?
Oh, wow.
And then Caitlin, you have to say if you think that that's probably true.
I already know what it is.
You do?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is interesting.
Well, listen, and this isn't blowing smoke. I was a huge fan of Friends, and in particular, Chandler was and will always be my favorite character. I just, no one made me laugh like that, and he was the reason I watched the show, and so that question means something to me in terms of what the answer might be. But I think more than anything, I felt like his character, and obviously that translated to him as a human, had like a real heart, like just like connected to heart and love, and like a connection of what it is to be a human being. Like there's a reason why people immediately like loved Matthew, because there's a through line of humanity. Just you felt a human being, and so I would like to think that he would love the song that I wrote about my parents and gave to my brother for his wedding song. Was called "I'm So Glad," because I think that's the most like poignantly honest human song I've ever written that touches on both good and bad, but ends ultimately with like a love story that is real.
Huh. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Caitlin, would that be one of them? What's the other one, Caitlin?
I think that for sure would be one of them. I think that for sure would be one of them. One of his things about music is that he felt like he had to be able to remember and sing it all the time. Like he was a sing everywhere kind of a guy. So I think just for that, he would also love the Till the Morning Comes song.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks.
I like that one.
Everybody listen to that. Till the Morning Comes. Royal, what's your full name?
John Royal Wood.
John?
So Royal Wood is my middle name. It was my great grandfather's first and last name.
That's cool.
And oddly enough, when I wrote that very first song on the piano, where I suddenly felt like myself, I was about to put out the first EP, which is all songs that I'd written at that time, and I was like, I don't feel like John anymore. I feel like I finally found myself, and in doing so, went by my middle name, and then never went back.
No, it's super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
If you so you've done pretty cool stuff. You got your JUNO nominations and stuff. I'm not jealous and the thing. But if you were still like in the nothing had worked yet, would you still be doing it?
Oh, that's a good question.
Ooh, well, I would like to think I would. Like, you mean in terms of like I had a day job, but I was still like had my music kind of thing, or
like you do instead of going after like the bigger, fancier day job, you were whatever you could do to focus on the music, and then whatever pays the bills.
Well, the interesting thing about me is that when I moved to Toronto, I got a temp job in a foreign exchange company, and they loved me and very quickly made me an assistant at the trader, and I very quickly became a trader. And the next thing I knew, I was a senior foreign exchange trader making like money, and that paid for my very first record. And the second that record was done, and I got offered a tour to open for Sarah Harmer across the States, I walked in and I quit. I was like, I know what I want to do. It ain't this. I want to do that. So I think no matter what, whether it had worked out for me or not, I'd still be doing it. I was like, every ounce of my being knew that I wanted to make music and create music and play music and be in the arts. I was a creative kid who loved, and I still do. Like I love to cook. I loved renovating our house. I'm renovating this one. I like to build something from nothing. I like to make something like when I finish a project in the house, my favorite thing is the very next day when I know it's all done is to walk in and look at it again. You're like, I did this. I made this thing. This thing wasn't like this before, and now it looks like that. So I definitely would have been creating something, and I definitely wouldn't have quit music. That's for sure.
Well, we're glad you didn't.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Royal. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Absolutely. Yeah, I was honored.
Thanks.
Good luck with the show. I
Thank
hope you can raise that benchmark of guests and interview.
No, there's no.
No, we're screwed now. We're
we started high. We started very high.
Yeah.
Yep.